Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. The Moscow-appointed head of the Kherson region, Vladimir Solovyov, visited Alexander Lukashenko and, judging by the reports from the Kremlin mouthpieces, returned home with big plans. Allegedly, he promised to hand over valuable real estate on the Azov and Black Sea coasts to Belarus. The possibilities are endless, from health resorts to military facilities. Except there is one thing. Imagine me walking up to you and saying, "Hey, here is the keys and ownership papers to Mar-a-Lago. Have fun on the golf course there." Well, of course I couldn't do that because I'm not Donald Trump. And the same applies to our case today. You can't hand over something that was never yours in the first place.
Живой. Хорошо, что вы приехали. Не первый раз в Беларуси, но как губернатор первый раз. Я знаю, вы хотите познакомиться с нашими предприятиями и посмотреть на все то, что, возможно, вам пригодится в области. Я очень хорошо знаю, какое внимание уделяет Владимир Владимирович Путин развитию этих регионов. Идет приличное финансирование. Я уверен, что по цене-качеству равной продукции в Беларуси у вас не будет. Тем более мы готовы создавать сервисные центры для того, чтобы обслуживать нашу, прежде всего, продукцию машиностроительного направления. Если вам что-то понадобится в области сельского хозяйства, вы скажите, мы обязательно будем поддерживать с вами отношения в этом плане. Ну и вы должны знать, что мы готовы покупать у вас то, что не производится в Беларуси, особенно плодовочную продукцию. Если такая возможность есть, я готов направить в Херсонскую область специалистов для того, чтобы посмотрели и пообсуждали с вами то, что мы можем приобрести. Поэтому впереди у нас большой объем работы. Вы должны знать, что мы всячески будем способствовать развитию вашей области. Ну, настолько, насколько мы это сможем, а сегодня вы убедитесь в том, что мы можем, а что нет.
In short, this is a classic operation. Let's divide someone else's territory and then we will see who is more loyal. But the legal reality is completely different. Kiev did not consent to any transfers of Ukrainian land to third countries. Accordingly, all such agreements are legally null and void from beginning to end. Any attempts to distribute, give away, or, as lawyers will often say, otherwise alienate any territory that is occupied militarily will have no international legal basis. Also, if you forcibly remove the original population as well, then bang! You also have a war crime, though it seems the Russians are collecting those like rare la-boo-boos these days. If Belarus agrees to participate in this scheme, it automatically becomes an accomplice in annexation practices. Today, a sanatorium. Tomorrow, privatization of beaches and concession agreements. The day after tomorrow, international restrictions and lawsuits. Wow. And this is not about emotions either. This is a simple chain of events that history and international law have repeatedly demonstrated. For the Lukashenko regime, such an operation has a double meaning. First, economic. Investments and jobs, albeit rather shady ones. And second, political. A demonstration of loyalty to Moscow and the simultaneous strengthening of its own foreign policy weight. While Saldo dreams of tourist resorts for Belarusians, real life is returning to the people of Kherson. The former mayor, who was portrayed as a traitor in propaganda stories during the occupation, returned to his hometown after his release from captivity, just in time for Ukraine's Independence Day, on 24th of August 2025. He spent almost 3.5 years in Russian prison. This is a reminder. Real people are returning home with real stories, losses and hopes, and their rights cannot be sold or given away in the highest offices of the Kremlin. The whole proposal that the Russian administration is making to Belarus is basically an attempt to preserve the occupation by way of economic bait, with no legal basis whatsoever. And those who voluntarily agree to such agreements risk turning from investors into accomplices in crime, which, as any legal representative would tell you, is very ill-advised. While some in the corridors of power are acting out geopolitical resort fantasies, others are returning home after captivity, rebuilding their lives, and reminding us that it is better to invest in restoring people, not in trying to sell somebody else's shoreline if your only deed of title is of the trust me bro variety. Okay, time for another bogus apocalypse alert. How many days has it been since the last one? Well, this time, the Russian so-called patriots threaten Poland and solemnly declare, and I quote, "You are approaching the moment when a nuclear strike will be launched either on the territory of Ukraine or Poland." End of quote. And that is because reasons, I guess? Actually, for Moscow, the reason is that Poland is helping Ukraine fight off the Kremlin's aggression. But that doesn't really matter. For the Russian propaganda, it's like, oh, is there a problem? Then nuke it. Foreign delegation looks funny at Putin? Nuke it. Economy stumbles over sanctions? Nuke it. Can't buy potatoes at the local grocery store? Nuke it. You get the idea.
А я правильно понимаю, что Макрон хочет войти в историю Франции как последний президент? Правда, историю Франции будет некому писать в случае ядерной войны?
Но вот дело все в том, что вот подобными шагами, они все приближают и приближают тот момент, когда либо по территории Украины, либо по территории Польши, где будут дислоцироваться все эти силы, будет нанесен ядерный удар, для начала тактическим ядерным оружием. И в этой связи вот хотелось бы задать вопрос и политическим деятелям, и военным. Вы приближаете этот момент. А что касается заявлений Келлога, типа «не посмеют», еще как посмеем. Опомниться не успеешь. Опомниться не успеешь, как посмеем. Потому что все это отрабатывается на всех реальных тренировках, ну просто до автомата.
And yeah, it's the Solovyov show naturally, not even surprised. Thing is, nuclear intimidation is not a strategy, but actually an admission of weakness. No real successes either in the economy or at the front. Well, let's go nuclear saber rattling again. Only today, it hardly ever makes the headlines. When radical Russian policymaker Zhirinovsky made such threats 2 decades ago, everyone winced because this was literally unheard of in the civilized world. But today, if a Russian TV host tries to be edgy by talking nukes while his country can't even manufacture decent microchips without Chinese help, you know what most people will say? They'll be like, "Okay, boomer," and then go back to, I don't know, watching Netflix or something. And speaking of China, remember how Putin reportedly toyed with the idea of using tactical nukes in Ukraine, only to have it mercilessly struck down by the Chinese? Well, just a while ago, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Poland and spoke to his counterpart, Radosław Sikorski, to have a, friendly chat about the temporary Belarus border blockade. Belarus and Poland happen to be crucial parts of China's Belt and Road, with billions in various goods coming through every year. Except now, they don't, because Poland had to shut down traffic when Russia came strutting about the Belarusian soil with its Zapad 2025 military drills. If China is unhappy about the closure, imagine Mr. Wang reading a morning newspaper the other day. Poland nuked, every delivery from Temu, now coming with a free Geiger counter. Yeah, and given how Russia is literally on a lifeline from Beijing, because nobody else will buy Moscow's gas and oil, except maybe India, you might be wondering how Solovyov still has a job. Because in just a few sentences, he's literally spelled out a plan to literally nuke China's Belt and Road, and probably most of European trade as well. I'm not even making this up. If China's symbol is the dragon, ancient and wise, then Solovyov's version of Russia is a headless chicken running around with nukes. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.